Yo, what's going on, guys? And today I wanted to talk about Coby White's debut. It's like everybody decided on Tuesday they were gonna debut at the end of February 2026. It's like everybody had a verbal agreement with the NBA. Coby White made his debut. So before we start today's video, I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. What do you guys think of Coby White back home in Charlotte? And whatever else you might have saw, hit the like, comment, and subscribe button, and let's get right into today's video. Now, I do definitely think that this is one of the more interesting situations, as Coby White is a pending unrestricted free agent, so it's a bit of a different situation in contrast to the other big names or contracts that were traded at the deadline. So returning from injury and making his first appearance since being acquired at the 2026 NBA trade deadline for Colin Sexton, Coby White looked completely at home in the Hornets' 131-99 demolition of his former team, the Chicago Bulls, on February 24th, 2026. Again, even more ironic. I don't know if it's ironic or a coincidence or purposely done that his first game in a Hornets uniform was against his former team, the Chicago Bulls. Now, in just 16 minutes off the bench, I wouldn't be surprised if for the first handful of games, he's on a bit of a minutes restriction, working his way up to 20 to 30 minutes a game. Now, in 16 minutes off the bench, Coby White produced 10 points, 4 assists, and 3 rebounds while shooting an efficient 4 of 9 from the field, 44%, and 2 of 4 from 3. Most impressively, Coby White posted a plus 20 in the box plus minus, tied for the highest amongst all bench players. He didn't force the action, but let the game come to him, orchestrating the second unit beautifully in his limited run. Returning to his home state of North Carolina and debuting against the team that drafted him and traded him rather than meet his contract demands, Coby White played with controlled aggression, a tone setter for what he can bring to this Hornets squad. Charles Lee is in his second year, and we're seeing the effects of what Lee has done. Low man wins. This team plays tough, hard, and just hustles. The transition for Coby White is heavily aided by Joshua Longstaff. Assistant coach Joshua Longstaff on the Charlotte Hornets previously served on Billy Donovan's staff in Chicago from 2020 to 2024, working directly with Coby White for 4 consecutive seasons before joining Charles Lee's staff last year in Charlotte. This existing relationship means Coby White already understands the terminology, the developmental expectations, and the defensive principles that Longstaff has brought to Charles Lee's system. There's no learning curve, just immediate familiarity and a coach who can get him caught up to speed rather quickly. The Hornets under Charles Lee play at a methodical pace, 97.4, which is 26th in the NBA, but boasts the 6th best offensive rating, 118.3. Coby White's skill set is tailor-made for this approach. He thrives in the half court, hits, catch, and shoot threes, runs an effective pick and roll, all priorities in a system that values efficiency over pure speed and pushing the pace. What I think is very interesting, and what most people might have noted in this game, was the guard-to-guard screen actions that Charles Lee ran. I think that was the most intriguing offensive wrinkle the Hornets can now deploy, is the guard-to-guard screening action involving most of their core perimeter players. By utilizing combinations of LaMelo Ball, Coby White, Concanipple, and Brandon Miller, the Hornets create continuous matchup nightmares. All 4 of those guys are legitimate sharpshooters who can pass, dribble, shoot. When Coby White sets a screen for Ball, the defense faces a lose-lose proposition. If they switch, LaMelo Ball attacks a smaller defender, or Coby White flares out for an open 3. If they fight through, The defense compromises its structure, allowing the elite sharpshooter in Concanipple, almost 44% from three, 19 points a game, or the other sharpshooter in the wing, Brandon Miller, 21 points per game, to exploit rotating defenses. This action creates chaos regardless of which two are on the court, and with all four capable of initiating, finishing, or shooting, the Hornets now have a weapon few teams can counter. White slides into the rotation as the ultimate combo guard, sixth man, immediately upgrading the second unit, as he's currently someone that I think is going to be able to not only be the backup to LaMelo Ball, but be a backup to Concanipple at the shooting guard with the flexibility to play alongside either. So LaMelo Ball, Coby White, Tre Mann, Concanipple, Coby White, Josh Green, Tre Mann, Sion James all make up what I would assume is the two guard spots rotation. And with Miles Bridges, 18 points per game, proving to be a solid two-way forward regardless of public opinion about his off-court history, plus the center duo of Musa Diabate, the Mooses lose, averaging 8 points and 9 rebounds a night, with Ryan Kalkbrenner averaging 8 points, 6 rebounds, and 1.5 blocks as his drop coverage bid, manning the middle. White doesn't need to carry the load on his scoring at the rim or be someone who has to worry about a lackluster bigs as he did in Chicago. No offense to Vooch, he just didn't give you any defense and they didn't have any defensive help. So he can focus entirely on perimeter creation, scoring, which are his exact strengths. Coby White now leads a bench group that includes Grant Williams, Josh Green, and Tre Mann, giving the Hornets legitimate depth they haven't had all season and probably in the last decade. Now, it's a contract year. He's rebuilding his value. Coby White is an unrestricted free agent this summer, and the Hornets acquired his full bird rights in the trade. This is significant. They can exceed the salary cap to resign him regardless of their cap situation. Chicago dealt White because they were unwilling to meet his demand for an average annual value north of $20 million, opting instead to pay Josh Giddey about $25 million average annual value and allocate the remaining cap flexibility resources elsewhere. White wanted a significant raise. The Bulls weren't prepared to give it to him, so they moved off of him. And Charlotte wanted him as they needed reliable secondary ball handling help to keep the offense afloat whenever LaMelo rested, especially that they had traded Colin Sexton to acquire Coby White, occasionally to close games alongside him in small ball lineups now with a guy like White who fits better than Sexton did in late game situations. He's a bit bigger, and Coby White's debut suggested he can be exactly that, a high usage scorer who doesn't need plays called for him to be effective. What Coby White needs to prove to secure that $20 million plus average annual value contract, either from Charlotte or elsewhere, as they have the bird rights, they can go over the cap to keep him. Coby White needs to demonstrate two things over the next remaining 23 games. His playmaking. He needs to show that he can be a potential point guard for a team that needs one and be someone who can play both positions. He posted a 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio in his debut, 4 assists, 2 turnovers. Maintaining that or better will show he can run an offensive plays and offensive sets, just the entire orchestra of the offense. Can he be the conductor and the facilitator of it? And at 6'4", he must prove he can hold his own defensively alongside LaMelo in crunch time lineups. The Hornets rank 18th in defensive rating. White's two-way effort will be scrutinized if he isn't on the floor in the fourth quarter. At 28-31, the Hornets are fighting for the play-in positioning in the East, and they could slide into the 6th seed. Charles Lee, in his second year, should utilize White exactly as he did in his debut. The second-year coach, Charles Lee, knows what he's doing, and I think he's going to be a guy, Coby White, who will be the six-man primary second-unit engine, playing 20 to 25 minutes a night and being the lead guard with the bench mob. Stagger his minutes with LaMelo would be awesome. Select stretches where both play together, unleashing that guard-to-guard screen action would be cool, and let his performance dictate whether he's on the floor in crunch time alongside Ball, Miller, Knipple, and Bridges. But I think it's awesome, and the homecoming has begun on the highest possible note. Now the real work has to start, but I think it's a really cool little story for a guy in Coby White. Let me know your guys' thoughts. What do you guys think of this? And if you guys agree, pretty cool that he's back home. Bye.